After the latest update to Luminar Neo, you've probably seen a lot of neon images on social media, right? Perhaps you're wondering if there is any use for this tool other than making really gimmicky looking images. If so, then stick around, because in this video you're going to learn 6 practical ways to use the Neon and Glow tool in Luminar Neo to enhance your images. I'm Darlene with Digital Photo Mentor, and if you're ready, let's do this. Use number 1 for the Neon and Glow tool is to brighten certain areas of your image. To find the Neon and Glow tool, go down to the Creative section, and it's right here above Mystical. When you open it, you'll see there are 3 tabs: Neon, Glow, and of course, Masking. For this one, we're going to be using Glow. Within that, there's 2 more options. You can do an inner glow or an outer glow. So what inner does is it looks for the subject and puts the glow inside the barrier or outline of the subject, and outer glow goes on the outer edges. This one is going to be an inner glow inside the ice flows. To start using the tool, just drag the amount slider up and it will analyze your image to look for the subject. But whatever it finds, we're actually going to overrule it in this case. So click on this button here, Refine Object, select Erase, and just get a really large brush at 100%. Then just paint over the image to erase it entirely. For some reason, it wants to do a square on this image every time I've tried it. But that's okay. I'm going to paint it in where I want it. Now, just go to Draw, and you'll be able to apply the effect where you want it. I'm just going to do 1 small brush stroke to start with a slightly smaller brush and a slightly lower strength. I'm going to start with this one here. You can see that as you paint, the object shows up with a blue mask. Let's do a couple more. Now that I've painted over a few areas, I'm going to go back to change the adjustments. Let's bring the amount slider up quite high. Now you can see what it's doing is it's applying an inner glow where I've painted. It's also adding a color based on what's chosen here on the hue slider. By default, it starts with yellow. So I'm going to adjust it to something more iceberg tone, like this. The next slider down is whiteness. If you take this one to the left, you'll get more saturated color. Going to the left, it'll move towards white and eventually pure white on the far right. I want a little bit of color, but not too much. So I'm going to go about 85. Then you can adjust the brightness, the contrast. In this case, I like the contrast a little bit higher because it brings out more of the texture of the ice. And background. I found this one adjusts the entire image too much, so I usually just leave it alone. And finally, if you open this bottom panel here, you'll see sparkles. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what this one does. When we drag it up, you get literally sparkles around the object. I'm going to dial in the same color here on this hue scale as the other one. So just type in 196. And now you can see that I've got blue sparkles or teal sparkles all around the icebergs. It might be nice to have a few as if the light is catching the ice and shining on the ground, but I'm going to keep it a little bit more subtle. So you can see what this one is doing. It takes a bit of work to get it in the right places. Of course, you can also use the masking on the tool itself to refine where you're applying this effect. In the before and after, you can see what this tool is doing. It's sparkling and brightening the ice. Moving on to tip number 2, you can also use this tool in a similar way to separate a dark subject from a dark background. This time, we're going to apply an outer glow. Let's take a look at an example. In this stock image of the car, it's fairly dark around the car, so I want to just lighten it a little bit. Drag the amount slider up. You can see it analyze the image. And it did a really good job of highlighting and masking the car. Now I can just refine the various sliders to get the effect that I'm looking for. I want this one to be quite subtle. So I might bring the saturation down a little bit, something like that. Can you see the effect now? Here's the before and after. Again, subtle. I've seen a lot of images using this tool where it's taken to extremes and you can go really overboard really quickly. But if you keep the sliders down lower, under 20, and apply this tool a bit gentler, you'll see that it's actually quite useful. Let's apply the same technique to this image of the cat. Once again, using glow and outer, drag the amount up, and you can see the effect. Remember, default is yellow. We could change it to any other color we like. Let's try blue. And then we need to fix this problem. So the idea that I had for this one was to just have the outer edge on one side of the cat's face. So I'm going to paint in over here and tell the program essentially that the subject goes all the way over here. Now the glow is only going to apply between the cat's ears and on the right side of the image, like so. Now I can adjust the amount and the color once again. Remember, if you want to keep it subtle, dial the color out and just do a light, soft glow around the subject, just to separate the cat a little bit from the background. See how well that works? Subtlety. That is the key takeaway here. Tip number 3 is you can use this tool to turn on or illuminate car headlights, including making a beam of light. Once again, I'm going to use inner glow for this one. I'm going to drag the amount up, and you can see it's applying over the entire car, but that's okay. It's easy to fix. I'll show you a different method this time. I want it a little bit wider, and let's go all the way bright. I want those headlights nice and bright. Instead of using refine object, this time let's just use the masking panel. So masking, brush, get a brush that is about the same size as the headlights. Put your brush over the headlight and then just start painting like so at 100% strength. Paint over all of the headlights until they're all on. These two smaller lights at the bottom, the park lights, I'm just going to paint in there at about 40% using a smaller brush once again. Now you can see that the lights are indeed on. You may also be thinking, well, couldn't you have done this another way without the neon and glow tool? Yes. Previously, I could have done this with the develop tool to brighten the lights. But if I want to add some color, I can do that and make them more yellow. And of course, we can make more of a glow here. So there's more you can do with the neon and glow tool than you could do with develop. If I wanted color, I'd have to use toning or some other tool to add some tint to the lights, and then the old glow tool to make it glow on the edges. Now you can do basically 3 things with this one tool. If the lights are not bright enough, just copy the mask, like so, and then apply the tool a second time. Remember to use the same effects, inner glow, and then just paste the mask in here. Once again, we can make it brighter, and if you'd like more of a glow on this one, expanding out, you can just adjust the mask. So get a slightly bigger brush, paint with a little bit lower opacity, and just go paint outside the lines in this case. Now you can see that we have additional glow. Coming back to this image, the headlights on this car were indeed already on. But what if we want beams of light projecting outward into the night? You can use the neon and glow tool to do that as well. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You can use inner glow and then create an inner glow that's quite bright. And then we can just refine the object. Previously we used a mask. This time I'm going to erase again from the original object. And I'm just going to draw a couple of straight lines. I'll show you how to do that. Get a brush that is slightly bigger than the headlight again. And we're going to go with full softness and full strength. Click on the headlight, then move your mouse away from the car, hold the shift key, and when you click this time, it will draw a straight line. Now let's do the other one. It's not quite glowing like you'd imagine, right? So let's modify it a little bit. We're not done yet. I'm going to make it as bright as possible, like so. And because we've now painted in the object, anything else we apply here to the outer or to neon will use the same object. You don't have to mask it or define it again. So if I go with an outer glow, now you can see that I'm getting that yellow headlights. Let's just glow around the headlights themselves. Now you're getting more of that beam type of effect. See that? The headlights have become brighter as well. I've played around with the neon one a little bit, but I found to make it work, you have to do each headlight beam separately. So let's try that. So once again, close the tool and open it again. Now I'm going to use neon and of course redefine the subject. Make sure when you draw your headlight, you match the original line that you drew. So I'm going to start there and go this direction. Change the color to more yellow or orange, and then bring the indent or the beams of neon closer together. Likewise, lower the spread and the amount. This one can take a little bit of work refining the actual beam, but it can be worth the effort. One final step is to go to the masking tool, choose a linear gradient, because we want the light beam to fall off into the distance. So I'm going to start here and make sure that it falls off this direction, like so. Et voila. Now we can adjust the glow and the other options. Now I just have to do the other one to make it match. Close the tool, open it again, and go through the same process. Unfortunately, there isn't an easy way to copy and paste or duplicate a tool at this time. I think I did a better job on this second one, but you get the idea, right? In use number 4, we're going to take a look at how to use the Neon and Glow tool to create a unique duotone image, different than what you can do with the toning tool. Let's take a look. I'm going to use this image of the dog and add an inner glow to start. Next, I want to make sure that the hue is somewhat towards the yellow and orange side of the spectrum. Give it a little bit more saturation with the whiteness slider. And then I'm just going to do a quick refinement on the mask because you can see that it's missed part of his ears and the outside here. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Now I'm going to apply an outer glow in a different color. Remember, spending that extra time doing the object defining is worthwhile because now I can apply the inner glow and the outer glow using that same mask of the dog. This time I'm going to select something in the blue range. Let's deepen the color a little bit and increase the size. Now it's just a matter of refining it to taste. I'm going to dial this one down just a little bit more. Now it's gone from a purely black and white image to a duotone. I can see you using this kind of technique on all kinds of different images. Use your imagination and see what you can come up with. You've already seen how to turn on car headlights and add beams of light. Now, in tip number 5, let's take a look at how to add car trails into a night image, such as this one. These kinds of images are created using long exposures or taking multiple exposures and layering them together. But what if you don't get enough car trails or you don't get enough of the right color? I would like to add more red taillight streaks to this image, so I'm going to use Neon and Glow to do that. Starting with the Neon tab, I'm going to just drag the amount up and select a reddish color. not pure red. I find it's a little too pink. I usually go somewhere around 12 or 13 on the hue scale. I'm going to bring the spread down so it's not glowing quite so much, and bring the indent down to 0. This may change in a moment, you'll see. Now I'm going to do refine object once again and erase everything that's here, which is the building in this case, so that I can draw in the taillights. Get a slightly harder edged brush. I'm going to go around 25 or so, and a smaller brush. Strength, I'm going to go at about 50. Now I'm literally just going to draw some taillights and see what happens. I'll start with one dot, shift click. Okay, everybody screws up, right? I couldn't figure out why it wasn't drawing my taillights. You have to move it over to the draw button from erase. Silly me. Let's try that again. Get a really small brush. I go all the way as small as it gets to 10 and keep the softness low. I'm going to say around 10, strength at 100. Now, just start drawing where you want your car trails to appear. I'm going to do one sort of parallel to the one that's already here. Of course, we need to make some adjustments now. So go back to the sliders, bring the indent slider to the left until the neon merges into a single line. From here, you can adjust if you want more saturation, more color, and the amount of spread or glow on the line. That looks pretty good. To make more lines, just go back to draw and do it again. I'm going to try with a higher softness to see if it makes a different pattern. I think I like that one better. Let's try another one that goes this way, and a few more coming straight through here. Keep in mind that if you cross the lines like this, you're going to get brighter spots where the lines cross. So just be conscious of that and work accordingly. You can also add glow elsewhere. For example, I could add a little bit of glow into the sign up here, on this wall here, just by clicking a few times in the sign. Maybe even over here, and likewise over here. Before and after. So the sky's the limit here. You can add as many car trails as you want. Just be aware when you cross the lines, you get a brighter spot, and you may have to mask that area a little bit to make it look more realistic. But I think this is a fun way to do night photos and car trails. If you want the effect to just be lowered a little bit, remember you can go into masking. Let's try a linear gradient. I'm going to have it fade off towards the edge of the image, like so. Now the trails fade off as they leave the image. Use number 6 is that you can use this tool to enhance your Milky Way and sky photos. I'm going to use the inner glow once again. Now in this case, it didn't find any object or subject. So I'm just going to draw it in where I want it, over top of the Milky Way. I want a nice soft brush, and I'm going to paint it in with a lowered opacity so that I can build it up gradually. So I'm just going to start painting over the bits of the Milky Way that are visible and the parts that I would like to stand out a little bit more. We're going to be adding some magenta to pick up the colors that are already there in the Milky Way. Don't forget there's a reflection in this image as well. So always look around to make sure where else the light might apply. Now let's go back and refine it. I want to have a magenta color, something like that. We can define how much saturation. We can even brighten it. So it's another way to bring out the Milky Way in your image. It's a little too defined now, so I might go back and paint with a lower opacity and a larger brush. And just kind of do a wash so that it gives a faded out version around where I painted previously. That looks pretty good, maybe a little too intense on the color. Dial it down a little bit and let's have a look. Before and after. And it's pretty realistic looking, right? Just as a reminder that yes, you could do these same things with other tools in Luminar Neo, but you'd first have to use something like the Develop tool to brighten the Milky Way. Then you would need to use color or toning to add the pink color. And then if you wanted it to glow, you'd have to apply a third tool, Mystical or Glow. Now we're doing it all with one tool. So it really is a handy new item in our toolbox. I actually have one more use for you as a bonus tip, but I'm not going to give it to you just yet. I want to ask you a question first. Have these tips given you some ideas on how to use this tool in your photography? Or have you come up with some others that I haven't thought of? Let me know in the comment area below. And while you're there, remember to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. And please feel free. We encourage you to share our videos as much as possible. Help other people find our channel. Okay, are you ready for the bonus tip? We're going to make a demon cat. Going back to this image that we worked on before, I've already added a few effects. Let me show you. I added the neon glow using a green tint and adjusted the indent slider until it was just the slits of the eyes. I used the refine object tools to erase everything and just draw 2 small lines over the slits in the eyes. Then under glow, I added an outer glow in the same green tint and sparkles. If I zoom in a little bit, you can see that it's adding the glow to the eyes. If it's too intense, I find it a little bit too much on this left eye, you can just mask it with about 10% opacity on the erase tool and just take one pass over the eye, like so, and it will lower the effect just in that spot. And there you have it, the demon cat. So I hope you've gotten some practical ideas on how to use this tool. If you enjoy my teaching style and you would like further learning with Luminar Neo, check out my complete course. And of course, I always encourage you to stay here on YouTube and watch another video or two. Click one on the screen now. Until next time, take care. I'll see you soon.